The topic of campaign finance reform came up during the Senate hearing and confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Now, the conversation didn't yield any important points from the Supreme Court pick, but it did give Lindsey Graham an opportunity to whine about how his Democratic opponent has outraised him. Let's take a look.
Let's go to Citizens United. To my good friend, Senator Whitehouse, me and you are going to come closer and closer about regulating money, because I don't know what's going on out there, but I can tell you there's a lot of money being raised in this campaign. I'd like to know where the hell some of it's coming from, but that's not your problem.
So Lindsey Graham completely oblivious to the fact that he's unpopular and people don't respect him. But just to give you some numbers, Democrat Jamie Harrison actually announced that he raised an overwhelming $57 million in the third quarter of this year as he seeks to unseat Graham. That was easily the largest single quarter Senate fundraising gain in history. In all, Harrison has raised $86 million so far in this election. Most of the candidates' money did come from out of state, indicating how much national attention the race is receiving. But in the case of South Carolina, 86% of Graham's funding came from out of state donors. So he really has no room to talk, versus 14% from within the state. For Harrison, the numbers were equally disproportionate. Around 88% came from out of state, opposed to 12% in state. And look, yeah, this is a race that the entire country is paying close attention to. And Lindsey Graham has shown himself to be a person who's more interested in power and remaining relevant, as he so transparently said during an interview with The Daily, that people have lost respect for him. And so I support any effort to get money out of politics, but understand that for Lindsey Graham, it's definitely a self-serving comment that he made. And then Cenk, before you jump in, I do want to just go to the conversation in context, because Lindsey Graham didn't really seem interested in hearing what Amy Coney Barrett thinks about money in politics, because he asked her a ridiculous procedural question as opposed to asking her what she thinks about money in politics. Take a look.
Citizens United says what?
Citizen United extends the protection of the First Amendment to corporations who are engaged in political speech.
So if Congress wanted to revisit that and somebody challenged it under Citizens United that Congress went too far, what would you do? How would the process work?
Well, it would be the same process I've been describing. First, somebody would have to challenge that law in a case, somebody presumably who wanted to spend the money in a political campaign. It would wind its way up, and judges would decide it after briefs and oral argument and consultation with colleagues and the process of opinion writing.
Well, thank you for that lesson of how the whole procedure works. I appreciate it. But it would have been a little more interesting to hear what she actually thinks about money in politics, especially since in the past, she's certainly handed down some pro-corporate decisions. But nonetheless, Cenk, thoughts?
Yeah, this is the most important issue in the country, and no one has gotten her to clarify her position, even 1%. And so first, let's just clarify Lindsey Graham's position. There's two different issues here. One is why Jamie Harrison is raising so much money and this whole out-of-state nonsense. So he's getting it from a combination of things. So Jamie Harrison is not the world's biggest progressive, but people hate Lindsey Graham. So they're sending money from all over the country, $3, $5, $100. Like we power this show, they're powering Harrison's campaign with small dollar donations. And it's driving Lindsey Graham crazy. It drives all the Republicans crazy. Why are the little people allowed to give money? They shouldn't be. We should make fun of them. And we should make sure that only corporations and the elites can give money. That way the Republicans can go back to winning. So it drives them nuts. By the way, any media organization talking about out-of-state funding is totally and utterly full of crap. I know it happened in my race. Oh, you're raising $20 at a time from all these people who believe in you all across the country. That's terrible. Your opponent, both Republicans and Democrats, are raising in giant chunks from corporations that are also out of state. That's not at all an issue. That's a wonderful thing, and we'll never ever mention it to the voters. So those are the two different issues. Now, in terms of the one that's really harmful, where companies just buy our politicians, Now Lindsey Graham all of a sudden is crying because he's like, I used to have the money advantage because my corruption used to help me. Now it's hurting me. Boo-hoo. Oh, Lady G, thank you so much for your fake crocodile tears. Now I'm not really interested. You could act up all you like. Now, if he was to vote to actually pass an amendment to get money out of politics, I don't care how much I disagree with Lindsey Graham. I'd be happy to work with him on that. But he's enormously full of crap. He's never, ever gonna do that. And the only time he's ever concerned about it is when it finally affects him. Like all conservatives, I don't care about any other human being, but if it affects me, all of a sudden I realize that corruption might be a problem. So Sheldon Whitehouse he referred to, he actually had a good speech about Citizens United, although he didn't ask her any questions. Can we make it clear that the Supreme Court is never going to overturn Citizens United? Now, why is that clarity important? If she gets on the court, it's 6-3, it's good night, Irene. They're never, ever overturning it. Because not Republicans. Republicans don't want to overturn it. Now they have a disadvantage, and now they're crying, and maybe they're like, oh, well, maybe I will, right? But for Democrats, the corporate Democrats are just as corrupt as the Republicans. So they don't want to overturn Citizens United. That's how they get their power. So that's why they don't. So when you ask them, okay, all of your voters want you to get money out of politics. So how are you going to do that? They go, oh, we'll eventually get we'll get a majority again in the Supreme Court and overturn Citizens United. Well, okay, now everybody knows that's a lie. I told you it was a lie. Now it's over. What are you going to do? Overturn Citizens United 30 years from now after she gets on the court? Hell no. So you only have one option left. That's a constitutional amendment. If you hear anybody else telling you something else, they're liars and they're lying to you on purpose so that you don't do anything. There's only one organization that's been 100% right about this all throughout. It's called Wolfpack, wolf-pack.com. If you actually want to get money out of politics and you're tired of these liars like Lindsey Graham.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.